Welcome back to Rated Radio with your hosts, Rayburn Alexander and Shane Wyndham. Shane, catch everyone up on what's going on in your world.
Well, as you can no doubt tell, I knew I was going to need me a beer to get me through this week, having to revisit all this R&B nonsense. I was actually planning on stopping at the corner store to get me some Bud Light seltzers, because Budweiser tells me about 1 million times per week how good that shit is, so I'm just dying to try it. Unfortunately, you can't buy beer or alcohol before 12 or 1 here in the great state of Texas. So, shit out of luck there. So I'm left bringing my hippy dippy beer that I had at the house. Got no cup to drink it out of. It's probably fucking warm. I'm gonna have to slam that bitch before it's all said and done. Gag a maggot. On the bright side, I am wearing my daddy's cologne. That's a preferred stock. For you men out there that don't know what a good cologne is, step up your game. Maybe women to be a little more willing to give you some. And while we're on the subject of family, the big news for my life this week is I think my Uncle Donnie stayed a little too long at Lee Brice's parking lot party, because he decided it was a good idea to take his vehicle and ram it numerous points into the local emergency facility, hospital up there where he lives in Idaho. He caused about $20,000 worth of damage, said that he was trying to shut the whole establishment down because he was unhappy with the level of service provided during a visit. Knowing him, it probably wasn't even a recent visit either, but he did get arrested. Rookie mistake. He left his vehicle, just rammed right into the front doors of this place, and he took off walking. Now, I was proud of him till I heard that, because even I know better than to leave my vehicle at the scene of a crime, and I know because he told me not to ever do that when I was about 4 or 5 years old. So, anyway, Uncle Donnie, I'm looking forward to visiting you at the big house again. Maybe you can get on back to Uncle Donnie I used to know that would never let himself get arrested without first taking the cops on a high-speed chase through the mountains. But enough about my life. Why? I saw a video of you welding this week. Why was you welding?
Well, in case you didn't know, your girl's a badass. I have some friends that are getting ready to move, and we were working on a trailer. Actually, I wasn't working on a trailer. My good friend Toby was working on a trailer, and I was not impressed with the quality of his welds. So me, being the narcissist little shit I am, decided to pick up the welder and do my business. Because for some of you that may not know, I used to weld in high school, and it's been a long-ass time since I have welded anything. But apparently it wasn't too bad, so.
You kind of broke my brain, by the way.
You didn't know I could weld?
No, I did. I saw the video of you doing it, and then when I saw it as a story, you had Irene Cara's What a Feeling attached to it.
Yeah.
Totally fits someone welding.
It made you love me more, right?
Yes.
Of course.
But you're not the only person that broke my brain this week. My friend Austin also posted a shot of Donnie Benet's Mr. Experience. It's a post-disco bassist singer-songwriter. And for the tag above the song, he had written, "You can't handle this." And he was wrong. I can handle it.
And you were there for it?
Yes. And that went immediately into the Ridiculous Jams playlist.
Sweet.
Immediately.
Well, before we move along, I have a gift for you.
A gift?
A gift. Since you are
let's see it.
Not the only person that can give out gifts, I thought you would like your very own Rated Radio official t-shirt.
That was fast. How'd you turn that around that fast?
I'm not only am I a badass, but I am a miracle worker. So.
That's very cool.
You are not the only one with one, though. The original idea was to get you one, but then I thought, I can't have my co-host rocking the merch without me rocking it too.
So you're not the only one fucking with people today. You're wearing a coat, and I thought she was cold, but she just got a shirt on.
Yeah, I had to get you back for the announcement last week, although it does not hold up to the announcement last week.
Oh, the baby?
Yes, the baby.
I was lost.
The
like,
hell?
What announcement? My favorite part was I posted the next day about it, and everyone and their dog, congrats. Yeah, y'all completely missed listening to the podcast where I actually revealed to everybody what was going on.
Yep, and I going back and listening to it, I didn't even realize that you said listening to Paul Anka's You're Having My Baby again. Apparently I laughed over the again. That's why.
So did your mom.
I know that. It flew completely over my head. But going back and listening to it, I was like, he damn sure did say again.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Well, apple doesn't fall too far from the tree on that one.
I was going to call you a liar, but now that you gave me a gift, I think I'll just leave it alone.
Yeah, just leave it alone.
Okay.
Anyway, roll the intro.
I think we're good to go.
We're good to go.
So we'll start off with our list again. What was the list for this week, Rayburn?
Songs that remind you of your childhood crushes.
Yes. And I had to put the ES in parentheses so that it just said crush, just in case you only had the one crush. I'm sure you had more than one. I didn't know whether or not you would admit to having more than one.
Oh, I will freely admit, I have people that know my crushes that are going to be listening to this episode, and I want to give them what they came for.
There you go.
So I'm going to be honest. So it's going to get real, but I have a feeling it's going to get real on your end.
Yeah, we're going to get real.
Of course.
And I apologize for throwing the country accent at you. No, don't look at me like that.
Do you honestly think that I'm not used to it by now?
I'm genuinely fearful that unironically I will wake up someday and that will just be my voice.
I would not be necessarily disappointed. It just might make a professional working environment a little bit more difficult.
I would be. The majority of messages I've gotten about the podcast so far have been, I love your voice. Yeah, being able to hear the drawl. And
so you don't want to lose that.
Not to
that.
Not to Mr. Country. No, I do not. I don't mind it being there as a hint.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this week was tough because I've pretty much crushed on everyone at some point in my life. But I can nail it down, and I tried to think of what would my sisters most likely go with. And I should explain at the outset that my experience with crushes was a little odd. I knew I was a lovable person. I just didn't reflect it in the mirror. And when I was in kindergarten or so, I was actually quite handsome. I looked almost exactly like my son, just with darker hair.
Mm-hmm.
But then I started getting bigger, and so none of my crushes really played out. Anyway, getting into this, my first pick was for a girl named April. The name of the song that I chose was Please Don't Go Girl by New Kids on the Block. Do not laugh at me. Do not laugh.
Refraining.
I love this song. I genuinely love this song. Anyway, April was a friend from Expo. I met her in first grade. I think when we actually met, I made her cry because we were on the playground and I destroyed her sandcastle.
Solid foundation for any relationship.
Yes. I remember being in sixth grade in the cafeteria, and some of the guys that I hung around with, she had a dress on for some event or something, and somebody made the offhand comment of her looking like an HBO hoe. And yeah.
This is in elementary school?
I was pissed. And I remember going the fuck off on the way out of the lunchroom on these guys, only to get back to class, and the principal came down and took us to the office. Yes, because I was accused of calling one of my best friends, who I also had a crush on, an HBO hoe. And nobody believed me. It took her mom calling the school or coming up to the school or whatever it was and explaining, no, he would never do that.
Yeah. I would say, I'm pretty sure you didn't even know what an HBO hoe was, but
I had an idea.
I couldn't afford cable.
That's correct. I was poor.
I couldn't afford cable.
But I knew that they showed softcore porn type stuff on HBO late at night, so I knew what they were talking about. I had to have known. All of my friends at that point were pretty poor too. I think some of them were even worse off than I was. But
yeah. Kudos to you for destroying the girl that you like's sandcastle and then sticking up for her in front of your friends.
I make it sound really bad, but we were extremely good friends. We used to write each other very long letters. We would spend all night on the phone talking to each other on occasion. Yeah. But she moved at some point. She moved away. I don't remember why, if her parents were going through something at that point, but yeah,
Yep.
so I remember this song really sticking to me for some reason.
You're not in contact with her anymore, not even like through social media?
No, we did meet back up later in life, but we are no longer speaking at this point.
Okay.
I don't really know why.
Okay.
But you'll find that's the case with a lot of people in my life.
All right.
And I'm sure some of you out there know what I'm talking about. People just disappear. Sorry.
I can relate.
What's your first pick?
So, as a young girl, I didn't have a whole lot of crushes. Now, we're talking about my first crush ever on anyone.
Please let it be a celebrity.
It is a celebrity. My first choice is Sandy by John Travolta from the Grease soundtrack. All right, to explain myself, John Travolta in Grease is a beautiful man.
Beautiful man.
Beautiful man. When he turns around and you see his face for the first time at Rydell High, game changer. So, the only reason why that's my first is because that is where it started. I remember bawling my eyes out, and I say that a lot. I didn't cry a lot as a kid, but I remember crying because I couldn't figure out why I couldn't be Sandy from Grease.
So when you do cry, you bawl your eyes out.
It's usually like 0 to 11, like without hesitation.
Right.
So, but that's the reason why that number one, Sandy by John Travolta is my number one pick. What's your next pick?
Well, I tried for my second pick. In second grade, there was a girl named Bailey who I had a massive crush on, purely physical.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought she was extremely pretty. And I know that at one point I helped choreograph a dance for her and her friends. That sounds really weird coming from me until you think about the fact that I have 3 sisters I lived at home with.
Exactly.
Lots of female cousins.
You know how many dances we put together and you did not chime in on any one of them?
Yeah.
I didn't know you had these skills.
Oh, yeah, I had the skills. I knew what was going on, but I couldn't think of the song. All I could remember is that I'm confusing it with, I used to walk around on the playground with a guy named Thomas, and he'd have his boombox, and we were always listening to Peaches by the Presidents of the United States of America.
Good song.
So my second pick wound up being Name by Goo Goo Dolls for a girl named Brittany, who also lived in the neighborhood with me growing up. And this was a girl who had it anything but easy. And she's been going through, I think, a bit of a rough patch recently. And just wanted to throw out there that you're worthwhile. Don't sweat this interim period. You're going to find someone who matters just as much as the other person did. And what I remember from being young with this person is she wound up dating another guy from the neighborhood who I really didn't care for most of the time.
Mm.
And I actually kicked his ass at one point. It was the first fist fight I ever got into that I actually won. So this kid that she wound up dating gets off of the bus one day and chunks a rock at my sister's head. And she starts bleeding and runs in the house and everything. And yeah, we just got out there and squared up.
He got to go.
I swung at him once. He hit the ground. And then he ran home screaming Granny. And if it wasn't bad enough, you'd think you wouldn't want this story told. His grandmother called the school, and so I had to go into school the next day and have, a meeting about how they didn't want any trouble in the school. And I'm like, no, I think the kid I hit who ran home screaming Granny is not a problem I'm going to continue having. He threw a rock at my sister's head. I think he deserved to be punched in the face. Anyway, Name by Goo Goo Dolls. That's yours, Brittany. Your next pick.
My next pick is for my kindergarten crush. His name was Mackenzie, and we were very good friends.
You said he, right?
He.
Okay.
Yes, he. Mackenzie. I almost said his last name just then, because I don't know, they go well together. Anyway, his name was Mackenzie. Our mothers were friends. We went to the same school. We were in the same class, obviously. I remember going over to his house, and his favorite movie to watch was Space Jam. It was always playing.
I've still not seen this movie.
You have not seen Space Jam.
It's okay. It's okay. I just wanted to admit it. Carry on.
You have a son. You'll see it eventually, I would imagine. Anyway, Space Jam by Quad City DJs gets my second pick because it reminds me of my kindergarten crush, Mackenzie. It was a very short-lived crush. I think I crushed on maybe 2 boys at that time. One gets a song in my list today. The other one got a broken nose for making fun of my best friend with cancer at the time.
In kindergarten.
In kindergarten. When I said your girl's a badass, your girl's a badass.
You broke a nose in kindergarten.
I did.
And had a friend with cancer in kindergarten.
I did. My mom can attest to every single one of these factoids.
Okay.
But yes, that was a whole nother thing. But he didn't get a song, so anyway.
Imagine that.
You got a broken nose instead. What's your next pick?
My next pick is Constantly by Immature. I should throw out there that I could easily have gone with Candy Rain by Soul For Real, or even Always by Bon Jovi, but Chastity. This was the major crush of my childhood. Pretty sure that we met in 3rd grade and had most of our classes together, even through parts of 7th grade. I just adored this person. She was beautiful. She remains beautiful. I'll say that about everybody. They're all beautiful. Everybody's beautiful human beings in my eyes, yeah. But when I hear Constantly by Immature, it just immediately takes me back to the skating rink. It makes me think of those Thursday nights. Occasionally we go on the weekends for lock-ins and things like that. Unfortunately, I was who I was, and while we were friends and did run in the same circles and she made my days worth getting up for, she always had a thing for the bad boys. Mm-hmm. So
girls are stupid bad.
It was always more my friend Pablo. It was more guys like that. Mm. And I remember leaving the skating rink one night with him and our friend Chris, and we went walking, and then we came trying to get back in the skating rink because we still had our bracelets or our stamps or whatever it was. And instead of them letting us in, cops came walking through the other side of the door, accusing him of having stolen skates or something along those lines. And I remember him getting in a lot of trouble, and Chris's mom had to come pick us up, and he got in a lot of trouble, but I was in no trouble. The question asked to Chris specifically by his mom is, why are you two trying to get Shane in trouble? He would never do anything wrong. Anyway, moving on. What's your next pick?
My next pick goes out to Robert from 3rd grade. I performed Jumpin' by Destiny's Child at my 3rd grade talent show and fucking killed it, by the way. Anyway, he walked up to me after and told me what a good job I did. And I remember thinking, oh my God, he thinks I'm so talented.
Is this on tape somewhere?
Somewhere.
Okay.
It is. It's on VHS tape somewhere.
I want to get it. I'm going to go get some videos from your mom and start posting them on our YouTube channel. It's going to happen.
Okay.
Continue.
That's fine. But I remember at this time, I was in a pleather skirt and vest combo, dancing to this song, completely freestyle, by the way. I did no practice whatsoever beforehand. And I remember being so nervous, and when I got done, he walked up to me and he said, "You did a good job." He didn't ask me out, although I wasn't allowed to date until I was 13. Thanks, Mom and Dad. But yeah.
13's pretty young.
Well, yeah, 13's pretty young, but if you think of my track record on the official boyfriends that I have, it's really not that impressive.
Well, because you weren't on the market for very long? Is that the...
I mean, I guess. I mean, I wasn't on the market for the first 13 years of my life, which in my mom's defense, she was like, "Where are you going to go? To the end of the street? Where are you going to go out?"
Everybody was always at your house.
I know. So I don't
Okay.
I don't know. But yeah, so till I was 13, wasn't allowed to date. And then I dated for a short period of time, 3 boyfriends. And then one of them locked me down at age 15. So I've been off the market since then. So yeah. I don't even know what the dating game looks like nowadays. I can't even imagine.
You don't want to know. I see it every year around Christmas time. It's not pretty.
Well, then I'll count my blessings that I'm not a part of it anymore.
I think I would just stay single. Just stay home. Like maybe some girl will come knocking on the door and that'll be the end of it. But...
yeah. You can keep hoping that that'll happen.
Yeah, it won't.
Yeah.
But
all right, moving on. What's your next pick?
My next pick was a bit contentious for me, but it's Innocent by Our Lady Peace. This one was for Amanda. Amanda was a neighbor for the majority of my childhood. She lived behind me. I was very close to this person and her family in general, but we were very good friends. We did actually at one point talk about being a couple, about how we liked each other, but ultimately that...
it just never came to fruition.
It would have been like dating a sister.
Mm.
it wouldn't have worked. But I remember hanging out at her house a lot. She had great siblings, great parents, and there was at one point, I want to say it was a disability settlement that her dad got, and so everybody was trying to hang out at her house all the time. And when her parents would be at work after school, sometimes I remember going over there and drinking Goldschlager.
Oh man!
As like a fifth grader or something.
Lord.
Yeah.
All right.
But that's a peppermint schnapps for people who don't know, with little flakes of gold in it.
Gold flakes in it.
And we thought it was the coolest thing.
It's so fancy.
But Innocent by Our Lady Peace really reminds me of She and I. And she's been on my mind a lot recently because her father passed a few years ago. And I loved that man. He was a shining example of what a father could be. Mm-hmm. And I really appreciated having him in my life. It also feeds into the novel that I just finished writing too. So you'll see a lot of names in that novel, even though they don't necessarily coincide with the personality.
You kind of pay homage to him in your next book.
It's a book of ghosts.
Ah.
I'll say that. What's your next pick?
My next pick goes out to my second grade crush, Jade. The song that reminds me of him that I used to listen to was Jaded by Aerosmith. Obviously, I mean, it speaks for itself.
Yeah, it's close. We
had no real connection or communication. He was literally, aside from my boyfriend, Blue.
I want to clarify while we're right here that you two are essentially common law. You've been married, or you've been living together for a very long time. So yes. Say spouse all you want to. I'm sorry for giving you hell. People think I'm rude. I apologize.
Nobody thinks you're rude. Everybody thinks we're common law anyway.
Talking about Jade.
And yeah, Jade, aside from Blue, he was the quietest boy I had ever heard in my life. Like, I don't even know how I had a crush on somebody that didn't speak, honestly. But I don't know. I had a crush on him, and I remember singing this song and thinking about him, or listening to the song and thinking about him. So, Jaded by Aerosmith goes out to Jade. Yeah. What's your next pick?
My final for the 5 is One of These Days by Tim McGraw. It's a song about a bully who eventually feels bad that he was a bully. What doesn't get spoken about is my friends and I weren't bullies in school. We would give people shit. We'd give them a hard time, and I always thought it was an attempt to endear them to us. The one time I did not feel that way was with regard to a girl whose name was Courtney. And I did not remember this until recently, but the moment she said it, it did strike that immediate bell. Yeah, I remember. We called you Grape Girl. That's Grape Girl.
Why?
I don't know.
You don't even remember?
She had to have been wearing purple at some point, or maybe she just liked to wear purple, so Grape Girl wound up sticking. I have no idea.
I got called Cheesecake. I have no idea why.
We called a girl we went to school with Greenie Green.
Wow, you guys were creative.
Her last name was Green, so it was
Greenie
the very
Green.
opposite of creative. Yeah.
Got it.
But this person in particular, she was around in one of my classes at a time when I was moving away from, I used to draw a lot, did a lot of artwork, and I had started writing poetry and things like that. And she always told me, in spite of how, not mean, but we said stupid things to her. Looking back, I would never say those things. But she would tell me how talented I was. And it was a real
motivator
boost,
for you
to be a better person and to step up my game, essentially. And me being me at the time, I thought she was fucking with me. So when she would say things like that, I was never nice in return. And I did eventually grow to regret it. I'm pretty sure I regretted it at the time. But it is what it is. One of These Days by Tim McGraw makes me think about Courtney. What?
I don't know. You're looking around. I'm wondering what the hell.
I feel like this beer is coming back on me. I guess.
Like regurgitation?
No, it's making my mouth feel moist.
Ah. Okay.
I have the moist mouth.
Moist mouth. Anyway, my next pick is actually, I kind of bent the rules a little bit for the songs that remind you of your childhood crushes. I did not have a crush on this person. I had no romantic feelings whatsoever, but they played a big factor in my crush lineup. They had a crush on me, And it just didn't seem right to leave them out.
The pity pick? Is that what we're going with
It's
here?
not necessarily a pity pick. This person had a great
personality
effect on the outcome of who I became. This person, at the time, was female. Her name was Caitlin at the time. She was struggling. She was my best friend in 6th grade. She was struggling with her sexuality a lot. And she had feelings for me. And I guess I was the first female that she had feelings for. So she was very, very confused. And she had told me that if I didn't reciprocate those feelings, that she was going to do harm to herself.
Ooh.
And in 6th grade, that put a lot of pressure on me. Now, I can't even imagine what she was going through at the time, but it caused me to miss a lot of school, pretend that I wasn't feeling well, and in turn, it greatly affected my record for the year, which then affected my entire life. So, but as a way of apologizing for her wrongdoings, because not only did she kind of resent me for not reciprocating those feelings, she and my other best friend at the time, and the boy that I actually had a crush on, ganged up and pretty much made my life a living hell for the rest of the year.
Nice.
I had gained weight through pigs and cows at me at, not actual pigs and cows, like little figurines
I was gonna say,
at me at a pep
that's
rally.
some strength for some 6th graders throwing cows and shit.
Wrote a fake love letter, put it in my locker. Yeah, it was not a great year for me, but as a way of her saying sorry, she told me that she called a radio station and requested this song, and it's The Reason by Hoobastank, as an apology for everything that she had put me through at the time. We do not speak anymore, although there's no bad blood because we're both adults now. She's now Kyle, and she is a he. So I wish him all the best with the rest of his life, and just hope that, know that I forgive you for everything that we had done when we were kids, and I'm just glad that you're finding your own happiness. So, The Reason by Hoobastank is my 5th choice.
All right. Well, stick around for the second half of our list. We're going to go ahead and get on to the first artist, and that would be Lee Brice.
Lee Brice.
What do we got?
All right, can I just say right now, please don't judge me too harshly for anything that I say.
Okay.
During Lee Brice.
Did you not have a good experience, Raven?
I wouldn't say not a good experience. First of all, I didn't even know who Lee Brice was. Never even heard of him before.
Okay.
But I'll get into more detail as we go along. We did cover Lee Brice. The first album that we covered was his Love Like Crazy, which is from 2010. Where did it fall in your ranking?
It was next to last for me. I gave it 1.5. My top track was called Some Things, and my bottom track was Carolina Boys.
Okay.
Now, I want to, before we get too much further into this, let me say that I did give quite a few 4s to this artist. So if you see 5s as being low, know that I did enjoy a lot of Lee Brice music, even more than I thought I was going to. Anyway, what about you? How'd you feel about this one?
This album fell right in the middle for me. It actually got 3 5s from me, with the top track being Love Like Crazy and the bottom being 4 on the Floor. So,
all right.
I mean, it fell in the middle. I did give it more 5s than what you gave it, but I really enjoyed the Love Like Crazy song.
Okay.
I thought it was really, really sweet.
And moving on to Hard to Love from 2012. How'd you feel about this one?
It was second from the top for me. I gave it 2 5s. My top track was That Way Again, and my bottom track was I Drive Your Truck.
Damn. That's
What?
one of my 5s.
Really?
Yeah, I love that song.
Oh, yeah.
We'll talk about why this artist struggled in places later.
Mm.
But this was my top album out of the 5. I gave it 3 5s. My top track was That's When You Know It's Over. And my bottom track was A Woman Like You. Something about that one just did not jive with me.
I'm pretty sure that got a 2 for me as well.
Ooh.
Mm. I didn't put it at a 1. I tried to give it the benefit of the doubt.
Did you give any ones?
On this album? No,
I mean,
didn't.
in the entirety of this artist, did you give any
Yes.
ones? I did
Yes.
not. So
Well, you were nicer than me.
there's that. The next album is I Don't Dance from 2014.
This got the bottom ranking from me. I gave it 0 5s. My top track was Somebody's Been Drinking. My bottom track was Hard to Figure Out.
All right. Well, this was my runner-up. I gave it 3 5s. My top track was also Somebody's Been Drinking. My bottom track was Sirens.
Sirens.
I could tell they were going for the... there's a Reba song, The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia. I don't even think it's a Reba song. It's a remake of somebody else's. But it was obvious he was going for that sort of feel. And it just didn't land for me.
The next album we're going to cover is Mixtape, Till Summer's Gone, from 2015.
It's an EP.
Yeah. This got my top because this album, it was fun.
You like it because there was some Bubba Sparks on
okay,
there.
I'll get to that in a minute. Anyway, no, but the Swamp song, I think got a 4 from me. It was goofy and it was fun, and they were kind of acknowledging their own goofiness. It wasn't another sad song about love. It wasn't I Drive Your Truck. It was beer. It wasn't any of the... It knew it was a cliche, and it made fun of the fact that it was a cliche.
I Drive Your Truck is a song about reminiscing over a dead person, right?
Well, yeah, but it's all sad. A lot of the times it's either sad or really, really goofy, and I like that this album, they took the cliches and had fun with it. They, in my opinion, acknowledged what they were doing and just had a good time.
I fucked this up.
What?
I'm going to throw that out there.
What?
I have not written down my top or my bottom track. I know my top track was Till Summer's Gone.
Mm-hmm. That was my bottom.
I don't remember what my bottom track was. You don't like sad country? Is that...
It's not that. I just, with the 3 albums that I listened to before, Till Summer's Gone was a nice palate cleanser. And I guess that's what I appreciated about it is, yeah, I originally gave Girls in Bikinis, I think, a 3, because I'm like, what? But when they redid it on Till Summer's Gone and added Bubba Sparks, and you get that, yeah, it was just so goofy and stupid. They took an already stupid song and made it even more goofy and stupider. It reminded me a lot of what's that song that I showed you? The 2-Step and Cowboy. What is it?
Hell. Yeah. Blanco Brown's The Get Up.
The Get Up. It reminded me a lot of The Get Up by Blanco Brown.
Okay.
So, it was just one of those, it's stupid, but you kind of like it because it's stupid and it's kind of trolling everyone in and out of the country music scene. Yeah. I don't know. It was just a good palate cleanser for me, and that's one of the reasons why I ranked it top. But I only gave it 1 5, which was...
Same.
Girls in Bikinis. Because I thought it was goofy.
The remix.
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked this EP. It mostly got 4s and 5s from me. But it had not that many tracks on it because it is an EP, so this took my bottom spot.
Mm-hmm. I guess I should have taken that into account because I did do the average. So, in all honesty, if we were to reevaluate the lineup, statistically speaking, this album would get the top for me. But it's most likely... my runner-up, Hard to Love, would probably have gotten the top spot if I had considered how many low tracks it got.
Rank however you please.
But I obviously love the Hard to Love album. Moving on.
Next is Brice, the self-titled 2017 album. This fell in the middle for me. I gave it 3 5s. Top track was Boy, and bottom track was The Locals.
I ranked it second to last. I gave it 2 5s. My top track was Boy. That's a good song.
Yeah, that should have been on my Makes You Cry list. It's another one of those that...
But you hadn't heard it.
Katie showed it. We'll get into it.
Okay. My bottom track is I Don't Smoke.
The problem with that song is, for me, the majority of your songs are about smoking and drinking. And then you write a song called I Don't Smoke where you talk about how you don't smoke and you don't drink.
I don't smoke. There was something about it that I didn't like. That's why I had to put it there.
I thought it was all right.
Did you know that, so he's most known for, like, playing guitar. He obviously plays guitar. He actually knows how to play piano, which I thought was interesting considering our next artist. So they both know how to play piano. He learned playing in church when he was a young kid. So I thought that was interesting, and that's something that they have in common. I mean, they're two very, very different artists in very different styles, but that's one thing that they do have in common is that they both can play piano.
Yeah. So let's get on to the questionnaire, unless there was anything more you wanted to discuss with regard to the albums.
No, I'm good.
So what was your weirdest track?
My weirdest track was Girls in Bikinis. That's not to say that I don't appreciate weird. I'm just saying it was my weirdest track.
Yeah, she gave the remix a 5, right?
Yes, I did. Original 3.
Mine was 4 on the Floor. And the reason I wanted to like the song, and lyrically it had some trouble, but there was a really odd bass or drum thing going on in the background, which we're listening on noise-canceling headphones that really drive the bass forward in a song so you could hear it. I don't know if they were going for a horse galloping or what, but it just wasn't, I wasn't feeling it. What was your best title?
She Ain't Right.
Something you want to listen to, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I also think about how many times I've looked at a person and I've gone, she ain't right. There's something wrong. She ain't right. So, but I've never heard a title called She Ain't Right.
You were ready to feel represented by that.
I don't like to brag on my southern roots a whole lot, but yes, I'm born and raised in Texas, and sometimes a little bit of my accent peeks out.
Come on back, y'all.
So, She Ain't Right gets it for me. What's your best title?
Songs in the Kitchen. I wanted to give this a 5. Even the lyrical content is doing what it's supposed to do. It's reminding me of being young and being at the older generation's homes in the country, or I mean, even some in the city, that people would just be in the kitchen listening to music or singing songs. A lot happened in the kitchen when you were young, or in the car, as the song goes over.
Yep.
But that was my best title. What about your worst?
Okay, I'm gonna need you to stand 10 feet away from me when I say this.
Go ahead.
Beer.
I'm okay.
Okay, just making sure we're on good terms. Beer. It was just beer.
Speaking of
beer break. The title that I would have used instead, cliche. So
it is pretty cliche.
It is pretty cliche. But, I mean, I get it. It's a song about beer and how much you love beer. I hear a lot of songs about beer and how much people love beer. And I assume people love beer.
I appreciate the song. I mean, even lyrically, as one-dimensional as the lyrics are, it still is going to touch a lot of people who are drinking beer.
Well, I'm pretty positive I didn't give it a 1 or anything. So I didn't give the song a low rating, but the title, as far as title's sake, I just think that they could have did a little bit more with the title.
Well, my worst was Sumter County Friday Night, and I would have called it Wannabe Louisiana Saturday Night. That's a Mel McDaniel song, and again is another instance of Lee Brice is attempting to play on nostalgia for country fans. This is bro country, essentially. And it shows in a lot of places, bro country being where it sounds more like, bro country has that stadium sound like you would find on easy listening stations back in the day, or ballad stuff. But it's mixed with the fast, almost rapish lyrics. Yeah. And they throw in slide guitars in the background or banjos you'll hear from time to time. And yeah, Brice just plays a lot on older songs and trying to rekindle what was great about those songs, which could be fantastic, but it just didn't land most of the times for me. And this was a good example of it. What did you think his strongest element was?
His voice is sincere. When he breaks down into those, I guess, more personal songs, you can sense his sincerity in what he's saying. So that I can appreciate. As much as I say I'm not a fan of country, because, like I said, I didn't even know who Lee Brice was. I can appreciate a good, sincere country song. And a lot of the times you can hear a reminiscence in people's voices. So I liked the sincerity in his voice above everything else.
His melody work, his melodies can be exquisite in a lot of places. Sometimes it's entirely too simple, but that's what you get when you are attempting to appeal to a primarily country crowd. Mm-hmm. He's not looking too much to do crossover type stuff, mm-hmm. and so the melody work falls kind of flat in a lot of places, but where he gets it right is great. I think he's a fantastic love song writer in places, and even a party song writer. My wife can attest to the fact that I had a parking lot party stuck in my head all week. Mm. Not my favorite song.
Yeah.
And doesn't really reflect me as a person, but it was stuck in my head. I think this artist has that ability with his melodies. What was your weakest element?
Oh, his songs are too similar. I couldn't differentiate between... He's got like two levels for me. It's either like, we're going to get fucked up and party, or it's like, come here, darling. Let's dance alone in our living room. And like 0 to 11 on that. So I just think that if it falls in one of those two categories for him, he does make them sound a little too similar.
Okay.
So what was the weakest element for you?
His hyper typical country lyricism. There are artists you listen to. People make fun of country music a lot. You know, it's somebody got their heart broke and their dog died.
Myself included.
And
I do appreciate country. I really do. But I think I like certain country songs and country artists because it falls under a level of nostalgia for me. Reminds me a lot of my dad. Reminds me a lot of Papaw.
Yeah.
You know, things like that.
And it might be the sincerity of the dude's voice where you really hear it on occasion, mm-hmm. or he means it and it hits home. And I think he does write a lot of his own music too, but when he's trying to appeal to that country crowd for the sake of appealing to them, mm-hmm. it just doesn't land. The lyrics just fall right through the floor for me. I can't get into it. But going to the next thing, we're talking about who this artist sounds like or what this artist sounds like. Mm-hmm. I wrote both sides of Toby Keith. So speaking more to how he's got to early Toby Keith mm-hmm. is something I really enjoy. Mm-hmm. Newer Toby Keith, that bar, whatever it is, I can't get behind. It's like boomer pop radio with banjos.
Mm-hmm. I love that early Toby Keith too. That's like he was my favorite country artist at one point.
Yeah, listen to Does That Blue Moon Ever Shine on You? Things in that vein are. Yeah. Anyway, what did you say this sounded like?
I actually said at certain points he reminded me of John Mayer as far as like the guitar.
Agreed.
Kenny Chesney and Brad Paisley. Now, those aren't just two country artist names that I know. I actually know what they sound like a little bit, and he did remind me a lot of them, especially in those, I would say in those slower love songs, he reminded me a lot of John Mayer, Kenny Chesney, and Brad Paisley.
When would you listen to this artist, or how does the music make you feel?
I said I would listen to this artist at a barbecue or a field party. I've never been to a field party.
Never?
I never.
Oh, okay.
I lived out in the freaking country, and I never been. My mom and dad didn't let me go anywhere. I never went to a field party.
You lived in the country. That's...
Exactly. I went, but I don't think people were throwing field parties.
I bet they were.
Maybe I just wasn't invited.
Probably. You didn't like country, so...
Yeah, but I liked having a good time. That should be enough to get me in.
I wrote when reminiscing, and also said that the music makes me feel either very emotional or it makes me cringe. Again, getting back to that duality of reactions you're going to have with this artist. I think that now if you are in the mud, country born and raised, this is most likely one of your favorite artists. I think what he's doing is going to definitely appeal to you. But if you have more range and your listening styles, it's going to be hit or miss for this artist. What was your first or best experience with Lee Brice?
I would say my first and best experience are coincide with each other. It's rating this week. It was refreshing to learn about this artist that I had no idea existed. So thank you, Katie, for bringing this artist to my attention, because I didn't even know this was a thing.
Good job, Eric Kittredge.
Kid Boog. But yeah, the rating this week, there was a lot that I struggled with, but Love Like Crazy was definitely one that I appreciated off that first album. and the goofy Mixtape album, Swamp Song, and
Girls in Bikinis.
Girls in Bikinis. It's so stupid, but I even found myself playing those songs after I walked away and was done with this rating. So the fact that Katie could give me the gift of listening to this artist and expanding my musical spectrum is something that I really appreciate.
Yeah,
so.
he might grow on you more over time.
What was your first or best experience with this artist?
Katie showing me the song Boy.
It makes you feel
as
something.
a new parent.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Just tears.
Yeah.
You know.
I guess, like, the structure of the song kind of reminded me of a lot of Don't Take the Girl.
Yeah.
And yeah, tears, for sure. Who would you like them to collaborate with? And what cover would you like them to sing?
I said Ashley McBride. That's a newer country artist who does a fantastic song called A Little Dive Bar in Dahlonega. It's a weird title, but if you've not heard that song, go listen to it immediately. What I would like for Lee Brice to cover is Boy Howdy's She'd Give Anything, because that is a great love song that I think if nobody covers it in the near future, it's going to be something that slips through the cracks for just about everybody. And I would really like for the original to come back, and I think his voice fits well with this. What made this artist seem unique for you?
Back up. Rewind.
Oh, sorry.
I would like them to...
Collaboration and cover song, please.
Yes. I would like them to collaborate with John Mayer, but I would like him to take the reins on the melody and structure of the song. He's a great... I appreciate John Mayer's like writing styles, but I think that if they were going to do a 50-50 split, I think John Mayer should be in control of the structure of the melody of the song. And I think Lee Brice should work on the lyrics of the song to match to John Mayer's melody and sound. So I didn't specifically write a cover song, but I think that it would be nice if he would collaborate on a slower love ballad with John Mayer, because I think that's something that is both of their strengths.
I'm on board for that.
So, what makes this artist seem unique to you?
Well, I asked you originally, so you go ahead.
Fine. I said the acoustic element.
Okay.
Just that unplugged, slower melody. I mean, the mixtape was fun, but to me it was fun for all the wrong reasons. I'm not an avid country listener, so it was fun to me because I just thought it made fun of the genre.
I think Blue might like this artist some. I don't disagree that I like the acoustic stuff, but getting to the other sound that you're getting from really high production values gives it a stadium sound. The music, if you ignore the country elements, it reminds me of like Michael Bolton. So I definitely think Blue would enjoy.
Okay.
But what I said makes this artist seem unique, the answer was very little. I would even be hard-pressed to recognize the voice if we were playing like Peg Note in the music guessing game. I don't know that I could get him out of nowhere unless I really knew the song was by this person.
I can't agree with that. I agree with everything that you just said. I don't know if I could pick him out in a crowd against other country music artists' songs unless I knew the song beforehand.
Right. What about success in the future? What do you think Lee Brice could do to be most successful?
I said more collaborations might improve his sound, and I don't know. I just think that maybe he should bring different styles in to break up the monotony of a lot of his songs and song structure.
I said cut the hard on for God, country, and all the basic bit shit that he tends to write about in random places too. You could be really enjoying a song on a specific topic, and then for no reason you've got hyper typical country lyricism going on again. And if we cut that, I think short of that, Lee Brice is a great songwriter. I really do think he's got talent. Who would you recommend this artist to and why?
Since he listens to every episode, Toby, you would appreciate at least some of Lee Brice's songs. I would recommend Girls in Bikinis, Love Like Crazy, and Boy, because you have 3 of them and you can relate. And you appreciate a decent country song. Sorry about that.
Yeah, there's a lot of decent country in this discography.
Yeah. So, I mean, Toby's a born in the country, riding a tractor sort of man, farming. He'd appreciate Lee Brice, at least in the heartfelt sense. And he's a goofball, so I think he should give him a shot.
My answer was essentially my neighbors, the frat boy type male that's in college.
Mm-hmm.
It's just chasing poon, that whole thing. Because I think maybe it would deepen their desires slightly.
Yeah.
Because this songwriter does, in spite of himself and his own desire to appeal to a target audience, has a lot of depth in places that would benefit those types of listeners. Did you have any optional discussion topics?
I said, under similar sounding songs, Mixtape by Lee Brice reminds me a lot, at least in the very beginning, of Love You Like a Love Song by Selena Gomez, which is different.
Yeah.
But that song reminded me a lot of Love You Like a Love Song by Selena Gomez.
Cool.
That's it.
Well, as far as similar sounding songs go, let's get into this.
Oh, God.
It's really not as bad as it sounds. The song You Can't Help Who You Love reminded me of John Mayer's Who You Love.
Mm.
Lyrically, the melody, it all sounded pretty similar. And there's also a song that Lee Brice wrote called Rumor that also the guitar sound specifically reminds me of John Mayer.
Okay.
The piano intro to Story to Tell by Lee Brice reminds me of I Never Knew Love by Doug Stone. Lee Brice did a guest spot with Edwin McCain.
Yes.
Who did I'll Be. And I think if you're going to listen to Edwin McCain, just listen to his stuff, not the guest spot with Lee Brice.
Yes, I completely agree. I was unimpressed with that song.
If you really like Lee Brice and you're not familiar with a whole lot of country, some of the other bro type country, you're looking for the best. If you want the emotional side of what Lee Brice brings to the table, listen to a song called Suffer in Peace by Tyler Farr, or even Springsteen by Eric Church. If you like this stadium country feel, it's a little rare in Lee Brice's music, but listen to that. If you want to hear bro country done right, fun, listen to Luke Bryan's Little Bit Later On. One of my favorite songs by any bro country artist that actually gets the fast lyric content right is Take Your Time by Sam Hunt. I love that song. And finally, what I feel like Lee Brice was trying to do in a lot of places, he wouldn't even say ass. Like he'd use back or...
Yes, and that really bugged
drove me nuts.
I know.
And even beyond that, you get to something like Girls in Bikinis. I think what Lee Brice wants to do and either doesn't have the freedom to do or just doesn't have the nerve is to be Wheeler Walker Jr. So if I'm recommending a song for Wheeler Walker Jr., it's one that I've recently begun to like. No story there and definitely nothing to do with my life, but it's called Better Off, Beaten Off.
Yeah, nothing having to do with your personal life. Okay.
My sex life is the best around. Anyway.
I know you impregnated your wife for a second time.
Wheeler Walker Jr., Better Off, Beaten Off. Last thing I'm going to say about Lee Brice is I think he should have a greatest hits album. I think just compiling all of the best of his material into one spot would be fantastic.
I agree.
So anyway, let's get right on along here.
Shane, you got any recommendations for this week or anybody that you want to highlight?
Well, I'll go ahead and start with the plug because I did it badly last week. I mentioned Flick Connection on YouTube, but I didn't do it any real justice. This is a YouTube channel run by Aaron Van Dam. He does videos on movies that are available on the different streaming platforms, and he does a great job with his recommendations. So if you're looking to stop asking your Facebook friends for the same 5 recommendations, getting back sitcoms that you've already seen a million times, go subscribe to Flick Connection on YouTube. He covers all the popular services. His lists are shown in the comments section. It'll always be the pinned comment. So if you don't even want to watch the video, you just want to grab the list, it's right there. But definitely watch his videos. He doesn't give too much away, and he shows clips in the background, which is all really good to see. I don't agree with all of his picks, but he was most certainly someone who inspired what we are doing right now. I love movies, but he's already got that covered. I wouldn't even try to venture into that territory because he does such a good job. His Spotify lists are also great. He recently recommended the film on Netflix, The Legend of Cocaine Island, which if you liked the Joe Exotic thing and you haven't seen The Legend of Cocaine Island, go watch that shit now. I also wanted to mention that one of his recent film recommendations I went and watched, and it brought up a 80s song that I had not thought about in a very long time. It's called Feels Like Heaven by Fiction Factory.
Dude.
Great song.
I love that song.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anybody else talk about that song. I thought it was like the only one that even remotely knew what that song was.
You can tell sometimes. You can tell sometimes that this guy really loves music because when he's recommending a film, I don't even think he likes the film sometimes. The soundtrack just got him and he can't help himself but say, you've got to watch this.
See, and I learned about that song from watching The Umbrella Academy. It was in season 1.
I still haven't watched that show.
It's good. It's good. But you got enough going on, but it's a good one. I think you'd really enjoy it.
I also wanted to say that I make no money on last week's poetry book recommendation. So even though I am part of that collection, I do not make any money from it. Just to be clear. You have a plug?
I do. On top of everything else, my cousin and co-host, Shane Wyndham, has wrote a new book. It's about a group of young individuals experiencing tough breaks of their neighborhood during summer vacation, and it dives into an exploration of human coping mechanisms and what it means to be young for only a short amount of time in a society of tolerated cruelty and imbalance. It is now available for pre-order on Amazon and will be officially released on his birthday, September 7th.
Of 2020.
Of 2020. Yes.
Which if you know me really well and you can't figure out why I chose that date, the fuck is wrong with you? But I'm going to laugh if you absolutely hate this book, Rayburn, because you just recommended it.
I don't. Okay. First of all, if it has anything to do, would you say that it identifies as a young adult novel?
Yeah, it's coming of age.
So I think that you are going to be able, and the sheer amount of characters that you have in this book, someone will be able to identify with any of these characters.
Yeah.
So I'm not just blindly plugging it because you're my co-host and my cousin that I love dearly. I believe in this next book, and I am pushing other people to believe in this book too and give it a chance.
I started thinking about writing this book, by the way, when I was in middle school.
Yeah, I know. You've told me it's been a long time coming. So I know that being the person that you are, you have intensely evaluated this novel.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It's my first novel, but we will see.
It's still my recommendation, and I make no apologies for blindly recommending it and you not having any idea.
I appreciate that. To go ahead and touch on Song of the Week, I owe listeners an answer from last week. If you didn't write in or didn't figure out what the song was, the song I was recommending was Days of Our Lives by Bone Thugs and Harmony. And the reason I was recommending it is because we were talking about childhood crushes. Mm-hmm. And it reminds me of 6th grade, essentially the time that I'm writing about in my novel. The characters aren't all of that age, they're all over the place, but one of the best years of my life because we were very tight-knit. The teachers raised us to be. They taught us how to care for one another. Mm-hmm. And I don't think my life would be the same without most of those people that I grew up with. Knowing that sense of community as a young person and having friends like that were super dependable. A lot of them still talk to me to this day. But this song takes me right back to Stephanie's birthday party in 6th grade because it was on that soundtrack that I gave to her for her birthday. Mm-hmm. And I remember partying in her garage. And there were a lot of great parties that year. This one stands out, though, musically. Mm-hmm. And also, we were listening to Nobody Knows by the Tony Rich Project. I don't know. It was a really great time in my life, and I'm not doing it justice, but stick around for future episodes because there's no doubt that I'm going to be talking about all of you at some point. I want to give props to Codes from the Semi-Friendly Podcast for being the first to solve this mystery. Again, go listen to the Semi-Friendly Podcast. Did you hear that we were mentioned in their show recently?
I actually just started following them and subscribed to everything. I listened to, I think their latest, or not their latest episode. I listened to one of their episodes, but I didn't listen to the one that we were mentioned on. You told me.
They're fucking hilarious.
But I want to go through and catch up.
I will throw that out there. And the other thing I want to say is you guys don't have to mention us.
Yeah.
Just because we talk about you. I appreciate it. I really do. I love you guys. I hope the podcast is going great. It sounds like it is. You were a big inspiration for what we're doing here as well. Thank you for helping me find that outlet. The last thing I want to say during this little break period is we were talking about that one of the best years of my life. One of my best friends from childhood, his name was Chris. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you ever met Chris. Probably not.
Probably not.
Or don't remember him.
Maybe don't remember him.
But we lost track of one another. And then I saw him when I was out on a date one night. And he came over and talked to me. And we chatted for a while. And he gave me his number. And we were, going to make plans to meet up. And the girl that I was with tossed that on the way out the door. Jealous of a guy. Yeah, this was the type of person that I would see. Yeah, she was. But so I want to apologize to Chris if you ever hear this and you thought that I didn't reach out and get in touch with you because I didn't want to have anything to do with you. Far from the reality, my dude. You will always be my friend. Thank you for being a part of my life. What was your song of the week?
I'm going to make this brief. Even though a lot of people think I hate country, especially after the discussion on Brice. My recommendation for this week is Millionaire by Chris Stapleton.
Okay. Great artist, actually.
Yes. I love Chris Stapleton. And apparently I missed the Tennessee whiskey boat that everybody was on.
Yeah,
because
years.
It was about, a couple of years. And I was like, have y'all heard this song, Tennessee Whiskey? Because I'm not an avid country listener. So Millionaire by Chris Stapleton. There's a female featured artist on that track as well, but I couldn't find her name in the short amount of time that I was looking up the information.
Right.
But there is a female featured artist, and it's a song about knowing that if you have a great love, whether it be a partner, family, whatever, that's all you really need in the world. And knowing that if that's all you have, that you're still the richest person that you probably know for having known that person and being loved by that person. So it's a good song. Millionaire by Chris Stapleton.
Chris Stapleton, yes.
So
let's get to the second artist.
All right.
I did not think Stone would be good warm, but that IPA was, yeah.
See, I don't want to waste any time, but I hear you had a absolutely delicious beer here lately, so much so that you felt the need to post it.
It was good. I haven't given a 5 to a beer in a long time, which I rate them in quarters. It's not like these song ratings. It could be like a 3.75.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are. This was the first time I'd had a beer that was a 5 in a long time.
Yeah, I was curious to try it only because of what you said in your post at the end. If you like, what did you say? If you like such and such, you'll like this.
Stella Artois, probably.
Mixed with
Mississippi Mud, which you can't get around here, I don't think. I'm pretty sure it's Louisiana, Colorado. You can get it in that area. But just a really dark but not heavy porter. Anyway, Alicia Keys.
Alicia Keys. What can I say about Alicia Keys? A lot of people were speculating my opinion on social media.
Yeah.
Of Alicia Keys and Brice.
And?
They were right. It's not surprising. Anyway, we covered... You were one of those people. So, anyway.
I was just trying to give your mom a hard time. Let's get the obvious out of the way. This is my queen.
Okay.
Has been for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, I hope you stick around and listen to what we're talking about, but it's going to be mostly positive. Let's go through it.
Yeah, there are things that I wasn't happy about. She's not all perfect, but anyway, moving on. First album we're going to cover is Songs in A Minor. It's her 2001 album. This took my top spot. It got 7 5s.
This was my bottom, had 4.
Oh, I feel personally attacked right now. Top track was How Come You Don't Call Me, which was originally Prince's song that Alicia had to beg him. Well, I say beg him. She called the, Paisley Park a lot to try to get his approval.
I wasn't sure if
the song.
It was his or if he just wrote it for her. I was going to recommend, if you like what Prince does, listen to Diamonds and Pearls.
Yes.
By Prince.
Mm-hmm.
That reflects Alicia Keys' stuff and more. Anyway, where we at?
Bottom was Jane Doe for me.
My bottom pick, 4 5s. Top track was Never Felt This Way. Bottom track was Mr. Man. Something about that one. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the 2 on the album for me. Just couldn't get behind it. Don't know. This album in general, she was, I don't want to say in the weeds again because I say that too much. Mm-hmm. But she was very immersed in other people's styles in the beginning. That was my feeling anyway. Before she came into her own as a songwriter, you could just tell she was someone probably classically trained in piano.
Mm-hmm. Since she was 7.
Really, really loved R&B and funk.
See, and that's the exact reason why I loved this album. Is because it was reminiscent on songs and styles from the past that people don't really like to touch on a whole lot. Now it's starting to come back, like with Childish Gambino, and a lot of people are starting to do that again. But that's one of the reasons why it was my introduction to Alicia Keys. So yes, there is a level of nostalgia there, but I loved how it was reminiscent of other people's styles, and she kind of took it and put her little twist on it. Anyway,
I can see it.
That's the reason why I liked it. Again, we are not going to agree, and that's okay.
No, we're not. Next album is
The Diary of Alicia Keys from 2003. This is my second from the top.
Same. This is my runner-up.
This got 6 5s for me.
Same.
Top track was You Don't Know My Name.
Mine was really When You Really Love Someone.
Bottom track was Nobody, Not Really.
Mine was Harlem's Nocturne.
Yeah, that was a talk track, right? Or just an instrumental.
She starts most of her albums with a classical piece that she kind of talks over in some places, and just doesn't really do it justice for me. I don't want to go back and re-listen to those. So even though the piano is gorgeous. But
yes.
Anyway, what I would say about this album is this is going to be the album that people look back on and think of Alicia Keys. Mm-hmm. You know, if VH1 or whoever is to do a top 100 albums from the era, they'll look at Alicia Keys for The Diary of Alicia Keys, I suspect. It's got that vibe you get from Kanye West's Graduation album. Sort of falls in the same vein. Yeah, they're great albums. Did we cover top and bottom tracks here and all that?
I did.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you did.
So we're scooting on to As I Am from 2007. This was my next to last pick. It had 5 5s for me. Top track was Like You'll Never See Me Again. Bottom track was Where Do We Go From Here?
This fell in the middle for me. I also gave it 5 5s. My top track is Like I'll Never See... See, you ruined me.
I did. I'm sorry.
Top track
I've been drinking. You've been drinking too. So.
Like You'll Never See Me Again. Same as you. And bottom track was I Need You. So
I feel it.
Next we have The Element of Freedom from 2009. I gave this this was my second to last. I gave it 2 5s. My top track was Unthinkable, I'm Ready, which was that track that she did with John Mayer. Correct? John Mayer?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I think maybe he was in the video. I don't know if he was part of the song.
Yeah, he was a part of the song.
I didn't study the credits too deeply.
Anyway, and I'm about 99% sure it was John Mayer. And then the bottom track was The Element of Freedom.
Which is the intro track. All right, so I need to talk about this album. Okay. First, let's go back to As I Am.
Okay.
As I Am had an intro that was primarily piano, and is one of the only intros that I gave a 3. I felt like it really brought something to the table. The intro to The Element of Freedom was like a really super short poem. And if it had been longer, I wouldn't have given it a 2. Apart from that, this was my top album. I gave it 11 5s. Yeah. And everything else got a 4. This is perfection from Alicia Keys, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. I probably hadn't sat and listened to this album since 2012. Last week's recommendation, the perfect rating for the JoJo CD,
9 out of 9.
Yeah, I would have paid $9 for that album for my purchase value. This one got $12 from me.
Yeah,
and has more 5s. This is a fantastic CD. If you're asking me, sorry, Raven.
Hey, man, it's fine.
We agreed on top track though. It's Unthinkable. I'm ready. Mm-hmm. And my bottom track was just the intro, The Element of Freedom.
Yeah.
Apart from that, great album. Go listen or don't if you like what Raven brings to the table. Next album.
Girl on Fire from 2012.
She has good feelings about it.
This got my bottom.
Oh. In the middle for me.
I gave it 2 5s.
7.
My top track was Fire We Make.
The Maxwell duet?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mine was Brand New Day, or Brand New Me.
But then again, the reason why I picked Fire We Make is because it was reminiscent of those older albums.
Yeah. So you like the really slow funk 70s type Alicia Keys?
Yeah, I want music you can get down to.
Okay.
And you can get down to that music. Just
slowly.
Hey. It don't matter how fast.
What was your bottom track?
When It's All Over.
Mine was New Day.
So.
Yeah. That's the discography for Alicia Keys. Let's get to the questionnaire.
All right.
What was your weirdest track?
My weirdest track was When It's All Over, because it seems like it's trying too hard and there's a lot happening.
Okay.
What was your weirdest track?
Is that from Girl on Fire?
Yeah.
At least I can say I love you song.
It was, Girl on Fire. It was my bottom track.
I love that song.
You love that song?
I love that song, yes.
It's okay, we're different.
My weirdest was Limitedless. I think the title specifically just had me on the wrong page to begin with, but it didn't impress me all that much either. What was your best title?
Dragon Days.
Same.
That is a song that you want to know what the hell she's singing about.
Yeah.
So, Dragon Days. My worst title, though, is Limitedless. It pissed me off because the title that I would have used is Limitless.
Okay.
Duh.
Yeah, I still don't understand. I think it's just going to linger as something I can't grapple with. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
My worst was Samsonite Man, and I would have gone with Packing His Bags. Something about Samsonite Man, things like Mr. Man. I don't know. Couldn't get into it.
You say Samsonite, and all I can think about is Dumb and Dumber. Mary Samsonite.
When I hear that, and I hear you reference a film, I'm thinking of Half-Baked Samson. I want to talk to Samson.
Oh, yeah.
Fly me to the moon. Yeah.
Dave Chappelle.
Oh, fuck.
Anyway,
I love that man.
I was going to say, we don't need to get on Dave Chappelle right now.
What was her strongest element?
Soulful voice, 60s and 70s soul inspiration, and her piano stylings.
You take it all the way back to the 60s.
There was some Billie Holiday inspiration there, which was, I believe Billie Holiday's actually 50s, but I think, is it 50s? Anyway.
Don't give me the line. My mom loves Billie Holiday.
Angela Romero Garcia.
If she ever comes on, by the way, we're holding that artist for her.
Oh, that's one of her held artists?
Already.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, cool. That sounds fun. But yeah, she Louis Armstrong, Billie Holiday inspiration in some instances.
Yeah.
So, what was her strongest element for you?
I didn't know how to nail it down. I just wrote that she's among the greatest living singer-songwriters that exist.
She's also a wonderful human being.
Yeah.
She does a lot of awareness for AIDS and other charities. She's a really good person.
Yeah, I think the world and the music scene would be quite different without Alicia Keys.
Mm-hmm.
So
I agree.
While I really liked a lot of Lee Brice music, yeah,
I'm not even going to disagree with you there.
Right?
Yeah,
okay.
I was trying so hard not to give it away because people that listened to the last episode were wondering, you're totally going to give Lee Brice a shitty rating, aren't you? Because he's put up against Alicia. I was like,
we're just honest.
They're they're two entirely different artists. I can't even really do a verses with them because they're not even on the same spectrum. But
let's get to the negative, though. What was her weakest element for you?
Abandoning more unplugged vibes for commercial success.
Mine runs kind of in the opposite vein.
Exactly.
Part of what I have trouble with in the beginning is, and she still does it occasionally, she abandons a punchy hook to stick to that funk soul throughout. It doesn't move enough for me. Again, I like the roller coaster, so you got to bring a punchy hook or I'm not feeling it most of the time. There are some exceptions to that rule, but she had trouble with that for me. What's next?
Who do you think that Alicia sounds like?
Oh, Lord. Toni Braxton meets Beyonce. So listen to Toni Braxton's You Mean the World to Me or Halo by Beyonce. Very, if you could throw them together, that's where I'm landing.
Incidentally, where did you fall on the Beyonce collaboration? Did you enjoy it?
I gave it a 4. Okay. I did like it.
I didn't like it. And I love those two artists individually.
Yeah.
But I don't think that they were at their full capability.
It's
together.
The same, pretty much the same way. It's not in her discography. It's on a Christina Aguilera CD, but Christina Aguilera's Impossible, co-written by Alicia Keys.
I don't think I've heard that one.
Yeah. It's a good song. I just wouldn't throw it up to a 5. Her song credits it's a mile long, by the way.
Yeah. She
writes her ass off.
What
about you?
I said that she sounded like The Roots, Janet Jackson, and Rose Royce.
You and fucking Rose Royce.
Rose Royce is slept on, shame.
Did they have anything other than Car Wash?
They did all the songs for Car Wash, though.
The film?
Yes.
Okay.
But, no.
Okay.
But it was such... I might rate that album
Don't
highly.
Get offended. I've not listened to a bunch of Rose Royce. That's what I'm saying.
It's good. Like, I'm Going Down. I Want to Get Next to You.
It's Mary J. Blige, isn't it?
It was originally done by Rose Royce.
Okay.
Listen to the original. Yeah, because I heard my mom, who in the process burnt down her newly remodeled kitchen because she got distracted watching Car Wash. Since I was a young kid, that is my mom's favorite movie aside from Valley Girl and then
No, hold up. You're going to have to say this again.
Okay.
Your mom burnt the kitchen down?
Okay.
Because Car Wash was on the TV?
She got distracted. She was making French fries. Her and my grandmother were living with each other and they were trying to sell the house. The kitchen was just remodeled. I think they even had a buyer or an offer on the house. My mom was making French fries home alone. She got distracted because Car Wash was on TV, and she burnt the fucking kitchen down. So it took a little bit longer to sell the house. Anyway.
When would you listen to this music, or how does it make you feel?
Like a bad bitch. That's it.
I said anytime you need to feel something strongly, Alicia's your girl.
Yeah.
Next.
What was your first or best experience with this artist?
I'd have to go with When You Really Love Someone as a best experience. I knew Alicia Keys before then, but the lady that I worked with at the bowling alley for a while before I started running front desks and all that stuff, worked the grill and the bar with a lady named Cece. She absolutely loved this song, and her significant other would sit at the bar and play the little betting machines.
Mm-hmm.
And so this would always be on the jukebox, and he would always play James Brown's It's a Man's World.
Yeah.
So those two things, yeah. And it really takes me back to turning 21. I had to work on my 21st birthday. But when we closed down, you better believe that Cece and Terry were feeding me beers.
Yeah.
You need to go on and call your girl and have her come get you because you're not driving home.
That's good. They were
looking out. While we're here, and since you're 21, let me go ahead and tell you that your taste in women sucks. You need to do this and this and this better. You need to start looking for this. But she would always play this song and tell me, pay attention.
Yeah.
And I did, and I think I'm better off for it.
My first experience is my mom introduced me, obviously, to Alicia Keys. Now, I don't know how she was introduced to it. I think she just bought the CD one day or whatever. Anyway, but my best...
That cover.
What? Of what?
For her first CD.
Yeah. What are you
Actually,
saying? She look good?
I don't know. It was, I mean, yeah, she looks good, but the expanded edition, at least, like if you look in close, it looks like a record in the background and it slowly moves
Oh,
into,
yeah, with the different colors. Yeah.
It's beautifully done.
Yeah. My best experience with this artist is I used to stand in my mom and my grandmother used to make me perform.
Make her.
Yes.
Carry on.
Used to
Continue.
make me perform, and I used to sing Fallen and Woman's Worth in my living room for them, and they would be so proud of me, and that's my best experience with Alicia Keys. And I say recently, before all this happened, I decided to sing Woman's Worth in karaoke for my mom as a surprise, and she cried in the middle of a karaoke bar, so that was nice that we still have that. Yeah. So anyway, who would you like them to collaborate with and cover?
I said Rihanna, and technically they are already part of the same song. It's Kanye West's All of the Lights.
Yes.
Along with a ton of other artists. But specifically, I want them to cover Escape's Do You Want To? And I wrote this because I want to watch the music video because I'm a simp like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I want...
I'm beginning to think you have what is it, a type.
I don't think that
like
I
your
have
love for Rosario Dawson. You got like Alicia Keys. You got like Rihanna.
They look pretty different.
Okay, moving on. Anyway, moving on.
But I want them to make the only music video I would ever watch.
The only music video you would ever watch.
I'm certain that's what would happen. Yes.
Okay, that's.
What about you?
I said Lauryn Hill or Childish Gambino. Again, I think that their styles would mesh well together.
Is the Lauryn Hill CD really that good?
What?
She only put one out. I know she was with the Fugees, but she put an album out and then chose to disappear from the music
I haven't listened
scene.
to it in a long time, but I remember my mom listening to a lot of her. I think she had the album.
All right. Well, listeners, let me know because I've never taken the time to sit down with that album.
You know what I'm just now realizing? We have the Fugees on our list, correct?
Yeah.
But since Lauryn Hill's only got one album,
we could put her in the
herself.
specials.
Yeah. Maybe that's something that we'll want to do. Anyway,
moving on.
I didn't specifically pick a cover, but I think either Lauryn Hill or Childish Gambino. I just think it would be a good mix, and a backup would be Erykah Badu.
Okay, I can see that. Call Tyrone.
Yeah.
By the way, as you listen to the podcast that we've been recommending, there is a point at which they play Tyrone. I don't remember when it is. I want to say it's when Codes gets up to go piss at some point, and Austin's being a dick and just lets the whole song play instead of editing it like he said he was going to. That threw me the fuck off. So if you hear it, I want you to know ahead of time that's what they're playing is not the original. I thought I was just an idiot and didn't know the real version of the song. They were playing a cover of Tyrone.
Who was doing the cover?
I don't remember now.
Okay.
Sadly. I think it's there for me to go find out. Listen to their podcast. The answer's there. I know it is. Anyway.
What makes this artist seem unique?
I said her stylistic range. Again, this is my R&B queen. So she can go anywhere and everywhere in that genre that she wants to, and occasionally outside of that style. And she succeeds almost every time. What did you say?
Her respect and love for an older sound and piano stylings.
How could she be most successful in the future?
Take more time to create creative music that speaks to the soul.
All right.
You disagree?
No, my answer was a little different. I said I would rather she just stayed true to her vision. And that's a big tell for me that I believe in what she brings to the table, because I have actually heard, I think the Here album.
Is that her newest?
She has another one coming out, I'm pretty sure, right around the corner. But Here, that album I wasn't particularly feeling. I should most likely spin it again. But I still would prefer that she stay true to her vision. Whatever it is, do you.
Yeah, because you're doing it well, girl. You're doing it well.
Who'd you recommend the Alicia Keys to and why?
I said I'm extremely likely to recommend to my mother. I think my mom needs to revisit Alicia because if it wasn't those first two albums, like the first two albums, in my opinion, were great, but she didn't get into the third album. She didn't get into the fourth album. She didn't get into the fifth album. And I think she needs to give those other albums a chance to listen to Alicia's progression. And even though I don't agree that those albums outweigh the first two albums, I do appreciate and like the direction that she was going in.
Yeah, Kissy, go listen to The Element of Freedom. Your daughter didn't care for it too much, but that's a damn good CD.
Mom, go listen to As I Am. You'll like that.
I said my Aunt Jennifer because she needs to step away from the ancient country for a while. Mm-hmm. I'm tired of hearing next song. Go listen to some Alicia Keys, Spread Your Wings and Fly. What about additional topics? You got anything?
You're going to appreciate this. Similar sounding songs, Distance and Time reminds me of Sailing by Christopher Cross.
I love Christopher Cross.
That's exactly why I said you'll appreciate it. So if you get a chance to re-listen to Distance and Time, maybe you'll hear it, but I heard it and I immediately thought, oh, Sailing by Christopher Cross.
I want to say that I plan very much on going and listening to her VH1 Storytellers album. I'm very curious to hear her live acoustic situation, see what that sounds like. Related acts, she's worked with so many people. I'm going to recommend some songs here that are similar to Alicia Keys' style. Okay. If you like what she's doing and you want to branch out a little bit. She did work with Maxwell in Fire We Make. Mm-hmm. Go listen to his live version of this woman's work. It's a cover. It's, again, from one of those VH1 storyteller type things. Fantastic. You would never know that song was live if you didn't hear the intro. She's worked a lot with Emily Sandé. There's a song by her called River. Absolutely recommend that. She worked with Bruno Mars.
How did I miss that one?
I'm pretty sure he was in the song credits towards the end for something.
No, I'm going to have to look it up.
Okay. And I could be wrong here. No, she's worked with everyone else.
I don't doubt that you're right. I don't know how I missed that one.
Versace on the Floor is what I'm recommending. Gorilla's great, but Versace on the Floor.
Yeah, no, that's such a good song.
She worked with Drake. Go listen to Shut It Down, in spite of the finer than your fine cousin lyrics. She worked with Nicki Minaj.
Yeah.
Title track to Girl on Fire.
Girl on Fire.
Go listen to Save Me by Nicki Minaj. You will hear Alicia Keys' influence. She worked with a Hispanic artist. His name is Alejandro Sanz. Listen to Cuando Nadie Me Ve, and you will hear it.
I saw you were listening to that on Spotify, and I was sitting here thinking, what the hell is he doing?
That entire album is great. And the last thing I wanted to say about Alicia Keys was with regard to her music videos. Specifically, the Brand New Me video. That is real shit. If you've ever seen Sinead O'Connor's Nothing Compares to You video, which incidentally is also a Prince cover.
Mm-hmm.
That emotional punch towards the end when she starts crying, and it's very closely shot, and it's affecting, right? Brand New Me towards the end is going to have the same effect on you if you watch that video. But that is all I've got for the immaculate songwriting skill of Alicia Keys.
Let's move on. We're going to end out our songs that remind you of your childhood crushes. Oh, actually, wait, let me back up a little bit. So I would assume Alicia got a higher overall rating than Lee Brice.
Yeah, she won.
Okay, same as me. And I
think he got 11 5s from me, but Alicia got 33.
Holy hell.
So she tripled.
I was going to say, I think Lee Brice got 8 from me, and Alicia got 22. So still, that's a pretty big difference.
One of his things was an EP, to be fair, so it had less songs.
Yeah, but the quality of those songs could have been better. Anyway, let's finish out this list. Songs that remind you of your childhood crushes. I'll go ahead and start. We are now getting into the boyfriends part of my list. This one is for my second boyfriend. His name is Matt. He was during that All-American Rejects, My Chemical Romance, Green Day phase that I went through. And he referred to me as what's her name? So
that's what you want out of a boyfriend.
Yeah.
What's your girlfriend's name? Oh, what's her name?
It ended.
Continue.
Well, we went in different directions. We were very good friends to start with, but he still retained some feelings for his ex, and I could see that. I mean, he didn't cheat on me or anything, but he still retained some feelings for his ex, and I, being the person that I am, instead of getting mad or getting upset about it, I let him go and told him he needed to pursue his own happiness if he still had feelings for this girl. So I let him go. And that makes the What's Her Name song by Green Day a little bit more fitting. So I don't think he married her. But
she grew up in a small town, so a lot of people that got together in their younger days are still together. Or they've all been with one another, and not you and Blue, that's not what I'm talking about. But
no, yeah, but a lot of people that locked it in at a young age are still together and living in Milford. I just threw that out there. Milford. But he's happily married from what I hear with children, so I wish him the best. He was a big part of this period in my life, and he taught me a lot about growing up and becoming independent. So thanks, Matt. What's Her Name says hello. What's your next pick?
I think you'll appreciate this. My next pick is for one of Laura's really good friends back in the day. Her name is Holly. No surprise to my sisters, but I think the reason you'll appreciate this is it's The Ghost in You by the Counting Crows, which is played in the Clueless film.
Yes.
When Paul Rudd's character picks her up at some point, and he's got his girlfriend in the front seat, and they're arguing, and she butts in and all that. This song is playing, and I remember when I was young, I wanted to have that kind of pull, right? So, and
You wanted to hit on high school girls?
No.
That were kind of your stepsister.
She was not my stepsister.
I'm just saying from a Clueless standpoint, anyway.
Oh, God. Okay.
Holly?
That makes more sense. Holly, yes. She was a reason that Laura and I would fight a lot. Mm-hmm. Corey also made fun of me because of this girl a lot. Because I used to go spend my weekends with Corey the majority of the time at his mom's house when he was still living with his dad. Mm-hmm. We would go over to his mom's and we did what we did. Okay. Whether it's hunting or drinking or just catching the carpet on fire with bacon grease.
You have the audacity to make fun of my mother for burning down a kitchen, and you bacon grease burning carpets.
This fucker makes bacon one morning, and he goes walking into the other room to ask somebody what he's supposed to do with it, and sloshes it all over the carpet. So Corey used to make fun of me because when she would come visit on the weekends, I would stay home because I wanted to spend time with Holly instead of just going out and hanging with Corey. And he used to hate that shit. And I wasn't allowed to have him around at the same time. We didn't really have guests over at the same time because space was limited in our house. Mm-hmm. But I remember Laura blowing up on me at one point because Holly was stargazing on the trampoline with me instead of hanging out with her.
Oh, that's sweet, though.
And it was innocent.
Yeah.
There was never anything there.
It wasn't like y'all were getting down in your bedroom or anything.
No, and I don't really understand why, but Holly used to purposely spend time with me and around me. It's not like I was just hanging out because...
Maybe Laura felt like she was an excuse for Holly to come over and actually spend time with you.
I got that a lot from Laura. Laura had some serious fears growing up that all of her friends only liked her because of me, or that I was trying to steal her friends. None of which was the case. I always hoped the best for my sister. And I remember thinking that what could be better than if I were to fall in love with one of your best friends.
Yeah.
That never happened.
That actually happened for me.
Yes, it did.
It did.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Anyway.
Your next pick.
Again, this is another song about Matt. When I decided that I was going to let him go to pursue a greater happiness, I used to listen to Jesse's Girl by Rick Springfield. But from my perspective, do not shame me. So, Jesse's Girl by Rick Springfield, I listened to a lot after we decided to part ways. And I think there was maybe a month where he lived across the street from me, and he still wanted to be friends, which was fine, but it made it pretty difficult because I still harbored those feelings for him, and he wanted to make me happy, but I knew that his heart fell elsewhere. So Jesse's Girl by Rick Springfield hit a chord with me at this point in time, and it still to this day reminds me of how much I struggled with, did I do the right thing? But should I have let him go? And, all this, because he wasn't leaving he wouldn't leave on his own accord. You could see that he was having an internal struggle with, she's my best friend and I like her and she's nice and I make her happy.
I'm having trouble following the story.
Why?
Because I'm sitting over here thinking, it's a good song, but I don't know if I've ever purposely listened to it from beginning to end.
I literally switched out Jesse is a friend, I wish that I had Jesse's Girl and put her name in it. I shit you not. And her name was Anna, and I hope that they were very happy. There's absolutely no bitterness here whatsoever, and I do not say that ironically. The relationship that they might have had, which he moved away, but the relationship that they might have had after we decided to separate, I hope it brought him a lot of joy and helped him as a human being.
Did you love your childhood?
I did.
Same.
I did love my childhood. There were struggles that happened. It's a part of growing up.
Well, I'm close to some people who apparently hated their childhood. I loved mine.
If you ask my sister, her childhood and my childhood were very different. And I don't know if it was because of the age gap. There's 6 years between us. I loved my childhood. I don't think that there was anything that I would have done differently because, as I said in past episodes, I like the person that I am.
Yeah.
And regardless of if I had to go through those hardships, which I went through those hardships, it shaped me into the person that I am, and I'm okay with that.
Okay.
So, anyway, Jesse's Girl by Rick Springfield. Thanks, Matt. Your next pick.
My next one is for Sarah. The song is Wait by Kay's Choice. I picked Sarah specifically. She lived down the road from me. We rode the bus together. We were friends, and that's really all that ever was. But really, the first time I ever remember having a crush on someone's sense of humor, really personality driven. She's gorgeous. Don't take that wrong.
All your exes and crushes are gorgeous. You're such a lover of women.
Yes. But it's not like that's why I picked her here. The infatuation had everything to do with her personality. Mm-hmm. She was very funny. But I used to borrow her headphones a lot. And I remember driving her crazy with that. Because,
solid.
Yeah. I think I was afraid that I would get in trouble for having my headphones on me. Or maybe I brought my headphones to school. And
you just liked hers better or something?
Or I wasn't allowed to have them. I probably got in trouble in class or something. But I remember her in theater making fun of me for having the Beaches soundtrack one day. And
it's a good movie. That's a good soundtrack.
Yeah. Yeah. What was never clarified is that I had it on me because we were asked to bring in stuff that we thought would go good for a play that was being put on. And Industry just immediately popped into my head as a contender. Yeah. So instead of, when I handed her Creed album back so I could listen to the Beaches soundtrack, I just remember getting made fun of. And I bear no ill will. I thought it was great. So, Sarah, there you go. Wait by Kay's Choice. That song used to make me think of you. Your next pick.
All right. Here we go. We getting into it. Blue, you ready? I don't think you ready.
Oh, God.
I got with this man when I was 15 years old and have been with him ever since. This song is about him. It's Pulling Me Back by Chingy featuring Tyrese. First of all, every time we were together, this song would play. Very in the cusp of young love.
Chingy's intention, by the way.
What?
To cultivate your young love by the cosmos playing this song every time you were together.
Yeah. I know, that's what I'm saying. It was magic.
Continue.
We almost did not make it our first year of our relationship. I had an issue with imagining what a relationship should consist of in my head. And at this point, I was a big lover of personal displays of affection. Now, if any of you know my boyfriend, you know that public displays of affection is not his forte.
I don't know what you're talking about. I get the personal displays of affection all the time.
That's because he freaking loves you. He tolerates me. But he's not big on public displays of affection. And I was like, I want you to hold my hand and I want you to tell me you love me in front of our friends. Just super annoying. Like I think back on that time and I cringe at what I was doing or trying to do what everyone else was doing and what society implements what your relationship should be at that age. And that's not the case. And the minute that I let that go, I realized I was a lot happier and a lot more comfortable in my own skin as far as a relationship goes. So, Pulling Me Back by Chingy featuring Tyrese. What's your next pick?
My next pick is No One Is to Blame by Howard Jones. It's an 80s song. This one reminds me of Lena. This was my best friend's girlfriend at one point. So they're in middle school. My friend Chewy, he had moved away for a while, and I rode the bus with this girl, and I just remember, I think we had classes together, that sort of thing. But we were friends. I most definitely had a crush on her, though, not overwhelming or anything. I had plenty of all these other crushes going on. Mm-hmm. But
again, lover of women.
Yeah, I really enjoyed spending time with Lena. And then when Chewy got back, boy, he was head over heels for this girl. Mm. And this song reflects where I was at that time. And I didn't have trouble with it. I genuinely wanted them to be together and be happy. And they had their struggles. He raps now. He's a rapper, and he would never admit this. And I'm kind of daring some of my old crowd to just show up at random and kick my ass. But back in the day, his favorite song, the song that he used to listen to a lot, on top of watching Blood In, Blood Out and Goodfellas and everything else, we would have to listen to My Heart Will Go On by Celine Dion, because I think they went to the movies together and saw Titanic, and
that's a moving song, Shane.
Yeah, it's a great song.
I hate what society has done to that song.
But
Chewy, you're all right in my book.
I put one of his songs in my novel soundtrack, actually. It's called Shook Back. You can find him on Spotify under Masa Lopez. And that's all I'm going to say. And I'm not going to... I have yet to name his real name, and I'm still not going to go there. But one of the things I remember clearly is Lena lived across the street from the mall, essentially behind Hastings. So we used to go to the movies and then head over to her house to hang out, sometimes stop at Hastings. A group of guys went with her and a friend over to her house. But first, I remember one of us had stolen a CD from Hastings, and so we were all freaked out about that. Obviously, we couldn't stay the night at Lena's, so her mom took us to our friend Ben's house, where we thought we were staying, but he didn't want anybody in his house because he didn't like the way that he lived. So we wound up stealing his dad's truck and driving over to Fro's house.
I remember Fro.
Yeah. And poor Fro. I still feel bad about it because I know his mom found out about this years later and beat him with a broom. And I was there, and of course she did nothing to me, you know. But so we drove over to his house, but obviously we had to get his dad's truck home. So we then stole his mom's car and drove the truck back. And then we were all driving back to Fro's apartment. And I'm in the front with him, and Jesse and Ben are in the back. They wanted us to change the radio. And I don't know how to work the radio in this car, but I'm looking down at it, and Fro's driving, but he starts looking at the radio, and suddenly nobody's watching the road. And so we swerve off the road, and I think we hit a tree. But it only dented the bumper.
It's amazing that you survived your childhood sometimes.
That's one of the milder stories that I have, but it still sticks out.
Yeah.
I don't know. Lena, No One Is to Blame by Howard Jones. That song makes me think of our time together in middle school. I'm really glad you were in my life. And still are. Sorry I no longer call you on Valentine's Day. Moving on, what's your next pick?
I'm going to keep this short. Again, this is about Blue. He used to rap this song a lot. It's Regulate by Warren G featuring Nate Dogg. I don't think this would be a surprise to you at all because you know him very well.
No surprise.
Regulate, my dad played a lot, which is funny because it should have actually probably been my mom around this time. She was rocking Dada and the Timberlands and walking around like a bad bitch. But I think it was Dad. And I don't even think I knew all the words to Regulate at this point. But because of Blue, I now know all the words because it was one of his favorite songs at this point in time. Always on a CD mix in his old truck. Anyway, so Regulate by Warren G featuring Nate Dogg. What's your next pick?
I always liked This DJ by Warren G. It's from that same album. Just an aside, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
My next pick is Soldier's Daughter by Tonic. This one, we were talking about stepsisters earlier. A girl who was essentially my stepsister. Her name was Kristen. Even my sisters had a crush on this girl. Gorgeous. But I never really knew her all that well. I just know that we were in Tennessee at one point, staying at their apartment, and everyone had left me by myself, and I was sitting in the living room singing music because that's what the hell I do. So I was singing Tonic's Soldier's Daughter, and she came home from school, and I remember inside feeling super embarrassed, right? You know, and she just winks at me and leaves the room, and it was like, like the wink that pushed me to lose all the weight. I definitely thought,
I got a shot.
If I can look like this and a girl will still wink at me, man, wait till I bring handsome Shane back. So, story I would share. I'll be short about this. I actually lost my virginity in this girl's bed years later. Not to her.
Okay.
So
I'm not here to judge. I'm just looking.
Her bed was all white. Everything.
Oh no.
Super white. And
was this this girl a virgin?
No.
Okay.
I mean, hell, I don't know.
Because I'm saying losing your virginity in an all white bed is not a great idea.
I don't know a lot of things that I should know for sure about this girl.
Okay.
I don't want to revisit too much of that, but
we don't have to.
No, she was just on her period.
Oh,
and
no.
I did not know. So I just know this girl's bed was red.
It looked like somebody got massacred.
Yeah, kind of. And I remember her mom not even caring, just like, oh, we'll get it bleached out and cleaned up before she gets home.
This happens all the time.
Yeah. That's my story. What's your next pick?
My last pick is More Than Words by Extreme. Again, this is about Blue. I picked this song because not only was it, I guess, our song at this point in time. Again, all of this is before I was 18. So we do have another song. We have lots of songs. But at this point in time, this is our song. And I just wanted to highlight this because I've been recently struggling with a lot of things going on in my personal and work life. And he has been an amazing human being to me over the past, pretty much since quarantine has happened. And all of our lives have been so fucked up, and I've taken on a lot of stress. And he loves me with every fiber of his being, regardless of how fucking nuts of a human being I can be. So...
You mean to tell me behind the scenes you're actually crazy?
Yeah.
No.
He has a lot of patience and love for me, and I see it, and I really appreciate everything that he does and how much hard work he does to help provide for our very tiny family. And I just wanted to say there aren't enough words in the English language or any language to describe how much I love and appreciate the man and human being and person that you are to me.
I think someone's mowing again. So if
Seriously?
so if the sound's kind of messed up right in here when I launch, I apologize. I was trying to get it right for you.
God dang it. I was just sitting here thinking, hopefully nobody's going to cut down another tree today. But anyway, More Than Words by Extreme.
Yeah.
For you, Blue. I love you with all my heart. Moving on. Your next pick.
My final pick is the acoustic version of Sister by the Nixons. This one's for Callie. I would still count her as a childhood crush.
Mm-hmm.
Because I most definitely had her in mind when I used to walk the streets for hours on end trying my damnedest to lose all the weight.
Mm.
And I did. We were not allowed to see each other because our family had tons of Jerry Springer shit going on. I think my dad was fucking her mom and her dad was fucking my aunt.
Your dad fucks a lot of people.
Yeah, so it's just this innocent thing as kids that we had and couldn't see it through because of their drama. This song specifically was chosen because I remember clearly being naked in the back seat of what's the Ford's?
Taurus.
The Taurus,
Your mom's car?
I don't know if it was my mom's car.
She had that blue Ford Taurus.
There were a few people that had them. I know even Misty had one at one point, but it might have been my mom's car. But we were out by Drop Creek, and...
Does your mom know this?
I have no idea, probably.
Okay, moving on. Sorry.
I don't know. We were messing around in the back, and I wanted to play this song for her because it was the first song I had learned all the way through on guitar that I could play from beginning to end. So I sang it for her. Just remember being really nervous. And looking back, it's pretty funny because my dad used to try to tell me that Callie was my sister, and her mom still calls her sister. So, Callie, sister, that's my track for you. That's the end of my list. I have one more note here.
All right.
And I talked about wanting to pick things that my sisters, or pick people that my sisters would have chosen.
Mm-hmm.
And so that led me down the path of, there is a myth traveling around with my sisters that I was really into a girl named Kelly. This is a girl that...
I've never heard that. Kelly.
I think it's primarily Laura. I think because we were in the same middle school.
Okay. Debunk the myth.
I was never into this girl. I don't know. I even hooked her up with a few other guys. Some of her friends,
Maybe she was into you.
No, she wasn't.
Oh, okay.
I don't think people were into me at that point to begin with. But yeah, I wanted to dispel that myth because it is
a myth.
Just that. Mm. She actually wound up marrying my friend Jason years later, and still there's no.
Feeling.
I never had any feelings for her. And there's another person who should have made this list but didn't because I loved this girl. Her name was Crystal. She was one of my best friends later on in elementary.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't put her here because my feelings for her were always just friendly.
Yeah.
They were never anything more.
Yeah.
I do love her to death, and she's still a wonderful person.
All right, well, let's move on to selecting our artists for next week or any information. We
don't actually have to pull from the jam jars this week because our first guest should be on next week. That's my sister Katie, and she has chosen Fiona Apple.
All right.
And regardless of whether or not she's here, we will be covering that artist. And the other pick was from my mystery song because the first person to get it was Codes, and his choice was Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Oh, that is going to be a good week.
Yeah, I'm feeling it.
Awesome. All right, so we will select the albums that we are going to cover. I would imagine that possibly we're going to share them on social media?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll put it as comments. And if you're online, you have questions, feedback, recommendations, anything, feel free to go ahead and throw it in any comments section or write us a personal message if you want to. We love hearing from you. And yeah, that's it.
You want to close it out this week?
Sure. Should I get back to my country accent? Can we do that?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
God. That's going to be rough after talking normal for a while. Well?
You're the worst.
I can't even talk.
I can try, but I'd butcher it.
Well, that's going to do it for this week. Come find us online and let us know what you want to hear next, because it's what you choose to share that ultimately makes your melody unforgettable. You can email us at rated_radio@yahoo.com, and with that, we gone till next time.
Peace.